Since my in-laws are gathering, my mother-in-law Molly is ordering me, at 9 months pregnant, to set the big table and prepare the food and drinks. She herself isn't lifting a finger, just giving me orders. I glance at my husband Sam, but he won't even make eye contact with me or offer any help. I've been putting up with this for so long, but I've reached my limit. I slipped away while the drunk relatives weren't looking. I decided to ask someone for help. That person said, "Let's end this," and I made up my mind to end everything too. My name is Emily Brooks. I'm a 29-year-old housewife. My husband Sam and I have only been married for a year. Next month, we're expecting our first child and will become a family of 3. I met Sam through a mutual friend, Katie, from my hometown. He's a year ahead of me at work, but if I weren't married, I'd date him in a heartbeat. He's good-looking, hardworking, kind, and comes from a wealthy family. You should definitely meet him. Katie kept pushing me, saying, why would a great catch like him be interested in me? I was curious, but also skeptical. I'm just an average woman with nothing particularly special about me. He's into women with strong family ties like you. I was even more confused. I don't know any man who would specifically look for a woman with a strong family bond. Why would he be interested in someone like me? Not telling, but he's a great guy, so just meet him. Besides, you're single, right? You'd regret missing a chance like this. Her usual bluntness got under my skin a bit, but I knew she hadn't changed much. Katie and I went to the same middle and high school. She's always been picky about men, even critiquing her friends' boyfriends. I was intrigued by this guy she spoke so highly of, so I decided to meet Sam. It was more like I wanted to see what he was like. When I met Sam at the agreed location, I thought he was handsome, but Katie has certainly exaggerated. But he was indeed kind, just as she described.
I'm sorry for making you come out like this, but Katie said you're just as nice as she described.
What did she tell you about me?
I told Katie I like women who are down to earth.
I see. Katie thinks I'm not into guys at all. She's so critical of men that none of my friends ever tell her when they have a boyfriend. Even though she's like that, Katie is also lovable in her own way. I kept hanging out with her as a friend who never talks about romance. Sam, being so focused on his job, didn't have a girlfriend, which worried his parents. At that time, Sam was 29, a year older than me. He asked me out seriously, saying he wanted a relationship with marriage in mind. I was shocked, but decided to start as friends. It felt like Katie was setting me up, and I was falling for it. But later I found out Katie had another motive. As I went on dates with Sam, I was drawn to his kindness and sincerity. After dating for 6 months, Sam got a transfer and proposed, asking me to come with him. I was torn. Long-distance relationships never work. Timing is everything. I didn't want to be apart from Sam, and with Katie's encouragement, I decided to marry him. My parents were sad to see their daughter move away, but they were busy with my brother's wife moving in. Sam's dad worked at the main office in New York, and I had met him several times. He struck me as someone who was both competent and kind. I also went to meet Sam's family, who lived in a large, impressive house, and was quite surprised. It was his paternal grandfather's house, which explained their wealth. I met his mother and younger sister, and they were equally kind, welcoming me warmly. What a lovely girl! Sam is so lucky to have you. His mother's flattery didn't seem insincere to me at the time. I felt a sense of relief. Sam's sister Mia was 10 years younger than him, but looked even younger. She could easily pass for a middle schooler. She had a fair skin, petite stature, and was quite beautiful. Mia had been frail since childhood, frequently in and out of hospitals, but in the past few years her health has stabilized, and she had just graduated from an online high school. I remembered how Sam's dad repeatedly asked me to befriend Mia. Mia had an aura that made even me, another woman, want to protect her. In contrast, Sam's mom was a robust woman who needed no such protection. Your father is often away, and it's scary for just 2 women here. We have plenty of room, so if it's okay with you, would you consider living with us? Sam's new job was in the same town as his family home, and his dad had also asked us to live there.
My wife loves cooking and cleaning, so feel free to rely on her.
His dad would come home on weekends when possible, but often couldn't. Their house had enough rooms for everyone's privacy. If it didn't work out, we could always move out.
If living together doesn't work, we'll move out immediately. I always put your feelings first.
Sam always put my feelings first. My trust in Sam clouded my judgment. Without thinking too deeply, I agreed to live with him. At first, living together was comfortable. Sam's dad would come home every weekend, and we'd all enjoy meals together. Sam's parents treated me well. Sam's mom especially helped me with house chores. I had lived with my parents for a long time and was used to my mom doing everything.
I can't let my precious daughter-in-law do all this. Just sit and relax.
She treated me more like a guest than a daughter-in-law, which felt awkward. Upon closer look, most of the housework was actually done by Mia. Sam's mom just gave orders and criticized. Poor Mia never got a break. I had quit my job when I got married, so I tried to help Mia.
This is Mia's rehabilitation. She needs to get used to normal life after being in the hospital for so long. Besides, it's her bridal training. Just watch over her.
Bridal training? I asked without thinking.
Even as her mother, I must say Mia is beautiful. There are many men who'd want her as their wife. She needs to marry well and repay us.
Her tone was so matter-of-fact that it struck me as odd. At 19, Mia should be enjoying life, especially after spending so much time in the hospital. Moreover, the idea of repayment was strange. Mia's downcast expression showed she wasn't thrilled either. I thought of asking Sam about it, but he was so busy with his new job. He often came home late or was away on business trips. If Mia genuinely enjoyed doing chores, it was fine, but she looked exhausted. I told Sam's mom I wanted to learn the household routines and started helping Mia. I felt embarrassed being taught by a 19-year-old. But Mia gradually warmed up to me. During this time, I found out I was pregnant.
I'm going to be a grandma. I'm so happy. I must tell your father. We'll celebrate tomorrow.
Sam and Mia were also delighted with the news. The next day, Sam's dad came home and we all celebrated together.
I have an announcement. Starting next month, I'll be stationed overseas for a year. This will be my last big assignment. I won't be back for a year, but after that, I want to spend time here with all of you and my grandchild.
I envisioned a lively and happy year ahead with a new baby and Sam's dad returning. However, the reality turned out differently. I noticed something strange. When Sam's dad was around, Sam's mom didn't let Mia do any chores. If Mia tried to help, Sam's mom would stop her.
Mia, you don't need to do anything. What if your illness comes back?
She sounded nothing like the woman who constantly ordered Mia around. Sam's dad seemed unaware and praised Sam's mom.
Honey, you're always working too hard. Sit down and eat with us for a change.
Sam's mom busily kept moving, saying she was happy to help. It was odd. Mia seemed to adore her father, and with the burden of chores lifted, she looked happy. I once asked Mia if she didn't mind doing so much housework. I've caused Mom so much trouble. It's the least I can do. She smiled, resigned, but I sensed something wasn't right. It seemed Mia wasn't allowed to go to college. Officially, this was her decision, but in reality, her mom refused to fund her education. Mia didn't want to take out loans she couldn't pay back. I knew every family had its issues, so I didn't plan to intervene, but I talked to Sam about helping Mia out somehow. Sam was busier than ever, but wanted to work even harder for our child's future.
I know I'm not around much, but I'm doing it all for you and the baby.
His words made me stronger. With Sam's dad overseas, Sam's mom started hosting more and more parties for the relatives. While Mia's college fund was non-existent, these gatherings featured expensive meals like premium sushi. The free food drew more and more relatives each time. It was clear Sam's mom loved showing off, and the relatives took advantage. An uncle of Sam's mom also ordered Mia around. I tried to help, but Molly would interject.
Emily, you're in a delicate condition. Let Mia handle it.
I always found it odd. If anyone should have been bossed around, it would have been me, the daughter-in-law. Perhaps she wanted to avoid me leaving, fearing I'd break up the family. But snippets of conversations among the relatives started to clue me in. Emily's family runs a big business in New York, right? I hear they're loaded. So how much are they worth? The questions grew cruder, even discussing future inheritances. My family has run a company since my grandfather's time, and my dad is currently the CEO. My brother is set to take over eventually. A sense of dread gripped me, and it turned out my suspicions were correct.
Now that you're expecting Emily, we're finally family. So could you ask your parents for a little help? I'm not asking for charity, just a small loan. It would really help.
It was clear she had no intentions of repaying any loan. My family once went through a financial crisis because my grandfather co-signed a loan for a friend. Since then, we've forbidden any loans, even within the family. I'm sorry, but we don't lend money, even to close family. I'm not familiar with your family's situation, but I'm afraid I can't help. That was the truth. We never lent money, even among ourselves. But Molly persisted.
This is your chance to contribute to the family. I've been so good to you, haven't I? Why don't you do this one thing for us?
When she realized I wouldn't budge, she finally stormed out, saying, Fine, then. I felt relieved, thinking she'd given up, but the next day her retaliation began. My meals were reduced to just toast. Mia tried to share her food with me.
Mia, don't. She's not family anymore.
But she needs to eat properly for the baby.
She refused to help us, so we have no obligation to help her.
Her true colors were showing.
If you don't like it, leave. But divorce Sam first, and don't forget the alimony.
It all came down to money again. While I was contemplating what to do next, Mia came to me crying and apologizing. I'm so sorry. We have no money and it's all my fault. She believed that her frequent hospitalizations had caused financial trouble for the family, but Mia's illness was just childhood asthma. It wouldn't cost $1 million unless it was some rare case needing an overseas transplant. Moreover, Lance was a senior executive at a large corporation, so he should have a high salary, and Sam himself contributed to the household expenses. Clearly, this was all about Molly's personal financial issues, but innocent Mia believed every word her mother said. I'll do whatever it takes, just please don't leave. Mia often missed school and didn't have friends. I might be the only person she could talk to. She had been brainwashed by her mother into believing everything was her fault. I couldn't leave Mia behind. I texted Sam saying his mother was pushing for a divorce. For once, he responded immediately, asking to meet outside that evening. I planned to suggest moving out, as we initially agreed, and taking Mia with us. I was sure Sam would understand, as he always put my feelings first. When I told Sam everything that happened, his response was shocking.
This is on you, Emily. Can't you just help out a bit?
I couldn't believe my ears. Are you serious? I asked again.
You're not working, right? So you could at least do this much. That way Mom will treat you well again. You don't want a divorce, do you? Don't bother me with this stuff. I have to go on a business trip.
He abruptly left the cafe after saying that. I must have sat there for about an hour, unable to think or move. When I finally realized it was getting dark, I hurried home. Mia was probably alone doing all the chores. As I rushed home, I saw something shocking. Sam was walking arm in arm with Katie. Wasn't he supposed to be on a business trip? Wasn't Katie supposed to be in New York? I quickly hid and left the scene. So much had happened since yesterday, my mind was a mess. But one thing was clear. I couldn't live in that house anymore. I called my mom back home and asked her to investigate Sam, Katie, and the in-laws. I told her I'd probably be getting a divorce, and she didn't ask any more questions. Now, I just had to wait for the investigation results, but I couldn't leave Mia behind. When I got back to the in-laws' house, they were having another party. I could hear Molly's cheerful voice from outside. But Mia, who would usually be helping, was just sitting there today.
Mia helped out when someone didn't. She's family after all.
Mia's bringing a dowry from the wealthy landowner's son. That's wonderful news. Mia didn't look happy at all, and this certainly wasn't good news. The relatives were all drunk, but from what I gathered, an uncle brought the proposal from a wealthy landowner's son, aged 48. He wanted a young bride and was willing to pay a dowry, asking for immediate marriage. I beckoned Mia to a separate room. Mia, are you okay with this? If I marry, I can repay my debt to my family. It'll help Mom and even my brother, too. I was puzzled why even Sam would go along with this, but that wasn't important now. Listen, Mia, I'm going to divorce your brother and move out of this house. Come with me, Mia. A divorce? It's because of me, isn't it? No, this is about Sam and me. Everything bad in this house has probably been blamed on you, but that's not your fault. I want to stay with you forever, but I'm a burden. I bring bad luck. If my marriage makes everyone happy, then I'll do it. It's the only thing I'm good for. I was getting frustrated, but tried to stay calm. Does your dad know about this? Mom said not to tell him because he'd be upset. He wouldn't want his daughter getting married and leaving. Her dad would definitely object, but not for the reasons she thought. I thought about telling everything to her father, but decided to wait for the investigation results. I wanted to resolve everything at once, but first I needed to buy time. Mia, if you want to marry that guy, I won't stop you. But nothing will change if you don't muster the courage to do what you want. Mia seemed to be thinking it over. The next day, Molly stopped Mia from doing any chores, saying she was too precious now that she was about to be married. Instead, she started ordering Mia around. I decided to play along until I had the results. The wedding date was set for 2 weeks later. I had to do something before then. I could have left Mia behind and gone back to my family, but I knew I'd regret it forever. One night, I woke up thirsty and went downstairs to hear Molly talking to Sam.
I told you to bring home someone who with money, not some broke girl. So what's your plan now? You want to marry that Katie, right? But without the alimony, you can't move forward. Her husband is threatening to take you to court. How much dowry are we getting from Mia's marriage? $50,000, but that money's already spent. We need to pay back Dad's savings. Yeah, and I thought Emily would ask her parents for the $50,000. That's why I married her. Katie's info was no good after all.
I returned to my room quietly. Now I understood everything. Strangely, I didn't feel shocked. Instead, I felt relieved that the mystery was solved. I realized I had no more feelings or regrets for Sam. It was clear Sam and Katie had been having an affair from the beginning. Katie's husband had found out and demanded $50,000 in alimony from both of them. That's why they chose me to marry Sam, thinking I'd be able to get the money from my family. It turned out Sam's mom had also embezzled $50,000 of Sam's dad's savings. Sam and his mom had conspired together. Now the investigation results were in my parents' hands. We had all the evidence. The only thing left was to inform Sam's dad. That night, there was another party, supposedly to celebrate Mia's upcoming marriage. The excuse was flimsy. They just wanted to drink. Even at 9 months pregnant, I was ordered to set up the big table and prepare the food and drinks. Molly did nothing but bark orders. Sam, unusually home, avoided looking at me or offering any help. Since that day, he had clearly sided with his mom. I've been holding on, but I've reached my breaking point. But today, I'm ending this. I was sent to do the grocery shopping with Mia for the party. I figured this was a good chance to call Lance and let him talk to Mia. While shopping, we encountered a car speeding out of control. Before I could react, Mia pushed me out of the way and we were thrown onto the road. As we were being rushed to the hospital, Mia kept repeating, "I'm glad the baby is safe." I swore then and there to protect Mia no matter what. Fortunately, Mia only suffered minor scrapes and bruises. When Molly arrived at the hospital, she yelled at me.
"If anything happened to Mia, I wouldn't forgive you. I don't care about you or that baby."
Her loud voice echoed through the hospital.
"Mia, you'll be out soon, right? We'll have to delay the wedding a bit until your face heals."
Following her orders, I went back home to get Mia's clothes. By the time I returned to the hospital, Molly had left. When I thanked Mia again, she spoke up. "I can't forgive Mom. She didn't have to say those things. I don't want to get married for her sake. Emily, please help me." I had been waiting for those words. Leave everything to me. I quickly processed Mia's discharge and called my parents. Then I went back to the in-laws' house to gather my and Mia's belongings. The in-laws were in the middle of yet another party, everyone already drunk.
"Mia did a great job getting hit by that rich person's car. She really came through for us."
The driver who caused the accident was an elderly man. His son and daughter-in-law came to the hospital to apologize. Initially, Molly was furious, but when she found out the son was a business owner, her attitude quickly changed.
"We don't want to make this a big deal, but Mia is about to be married, you see."
She was proudly recounting this to her relatives.
"We'll get a huge compensation, and after Mia's wedding, I'll be set for life. We'll divorce that useless daughter-in-law and get alimony too. But that means I'll need a new housekeeper."
The drunken relatives laughed crudely. Mia and I hurriedly packed our things, slipping away unnoticed by the intoxicated family members. I called someone and asked for help. The person replied, "Let's end this." I resolved to finish everything as well. Mia and I went to an inn about 15 minutes away from the in-laws' house. This area was a tourist spot with many inns and lodges, and I had always wanted to stay at this famous inn. Although I considered returning home, I knew I could go into labor any time. This inn was close to the hospital, making it the perfect hideout. My parents and brother met up with us as planned. My family is very tight-knit. They immediately left the company in their employees' hands and rushed to my side. "Is it okay to do this?" Mia asked nervously. "Yes, it's fine. Your dad is on his way here." "Really? My dad?" Mia's face lit up with hope. The person I asked for help was Sam's dad. I told him there was something important he needed to hear and asked if he could return to the U.S. His initial response was hesitant.
"We'll talk when I'm back. I have an important meeting now."
"What if Mia is sold off?"
"What do you mean?"
I knew I needed to be direct to get him to move. I quickly explained the situation. Before I could finish, Sam's dad said,
"I'm coming back right away. We'll end this."
Mia was much happier knowing her father was returning. She quickly became comfortable with my family, enjoying herself. Eventually, Sam's dad arrived, reuniting with Mia, and we had a party to rival Molly's. The next morning, I received several missed calls from Molly. Understandably so, since Mia had vanished. By now, the in-laws' house must be in chaos. I ignored the calls and finished breakfast. It was time to settle things. As soon as I arrived at the in-laws' house, Molly grabbed me and yelled, "Where's Mia? Bring her back now." But she backed away when she saw Sam's dad standing behind me. "Why are you here? Can't I come back to my own home?" "Of course, welcome back." Sweat was pouring from her face. Sam was there too, looking surprised at his dad's return. "Perfect. Everyone's here." "It seems you've given quite the rough welcome to Emily, who's 9 months pregnant." "Well, I was just worried because she was walking around in her condition. I got carried away and raised my voice." "I see." I pulled a document from my bag and placed it on the table. "This is what you've been asking for, right?" "A divorce agreement? I never asked for this." "Really? You mentioned it daily." "Mom, how could you? You've been doing this behind my back? So it's your fault Emily's asking for a divorce. I don't want a divorce, but if Emily insists, she should at least pay a hefty alimony. I've been deeply hurt, you know." Sam wasted no time discussing alimony, showing how desperate they were. "Well, I've been deeply hurt too, so I'll ask for compensation." I placed the investigation report and photos of Sam and Katie on the table. "Oh my, Sam, you've been cheating on Emily and blaming it on me? That's outrageous." As Sam and his mom began blaming each other, Sam's dad spoke up. "Enough of this charade. Emily knows everything. We need to end this now before something happens to Emily. Let's settle this quickly. Both of you must be wondering how much Emily knows.
Let me make it clear. First, Sam and Katie have been seeing each other for 3 years, but Katie's husband found out and demanded $50,000 in alimony from both of you. He said if you don't pay, there will be no divorce or remarriage. Am I right so far?
Sam kept his head down, not answering. And you, Sam and Katie, tried to get $50,000 from me by marrying me under false pretenses. Meanwhile, your mom embezzled $50,000 from your dad's savings and needed to pay it back. You then tried to borrow $100,000 from my parents, but were refused, so you planned to sell Mia instead. Is that correct?
No, you've got it all wrong. Mia's medical bills were expensive, and marrying her off to a wealthy family is a good thing, right? Mia agreed to this too.
Stop making excuses. We know everything.
Mia's medical expenses were covered by insurance. There was no need for any loans.
Mia had told her father everything.
End it all now. What do you mean? Exactly what I said.
His low, commanding voice made both Sam and his mom tremble. The doorbell rang, and when Sam's dad opened it, some movers came in.
What? Who are these people? They're from a liquidation company. Start with her room. No, don't!
The movers began appraising items in Sam's mom's room, ignoring her protests. Jewelry, furs, and designer goods were piling up. Mia had tipped me off about this. It turned out Molly's debt wasn't just the $50,000 she embezzled. She also owed substantial amounts to the relatives. Initially, I thought the relatives were mooching off her, but it was actually a ruse to delay repayment. The movers began taking out furniture and appliances next, causing Molly to wail.
Why are they taking our stuff? We're selling this house. Dad, you can't be serious. Where will we live?
They panicked, realizing they might lose their home.
You two are no longer part of my family. Sign these now.
He placed divorce papers in front of Molly.
I'll work to repay the money, just please reconsider the divorce. You still don't get it. Do you have any idea how much harm you've caused Mia? Leave us alone and don't expect any alimony. You too, Sam. Just sign and leave.
Lance had asked me to stop him if he lost control. He knew he would struggle to restrain himself if he started shouting. Both Sam and his mom fell to their knees, begging for forgiveness.
I threw away an important meeting to come back home. You know what that means, right?
Knowing Lance's reputation, they realized there was no way out. Finally, they signed the divorce papers and left the house, looking defeated. Lance apologized to me and offered to pay compensation. I declined, asking him to use it for Mia instead. He asked if I could handle everything from here. I agreed, and we immediately hired a lawyer to demand compensation from Katie and Sam. Katie's husband officially filed for a lawsuit, and news of their affair spread around the company. They were left working only to repay their debts. Meanwhile, Molly found herself in a curious situation. It turned out Mia's prospective husband wanted her as a caregiver for his bedridden father. The elderly man, now 90, was a tyrant who had been rejected by every nursing home and had driven away all his caretakers. The family figured Mia, who wouldn't dare defy Molly, wouldn't quit, so they wanted to marry her off immediately, promising a dowry of $50,000. Having already received part of the dowry, Molly now found herself forced to take Mia's place as the caregiver. With her debt to the relatives, she was left with no choice. She now lives at the elderly man's house, constantly insulted and berated. Lance decided to retire and live with Mia, but I suggested they stay at my family's home instead. For him, it was his final task. My family had grown fond of Mia too. Mia's health had stabilized and she could pursue her education in New York. I want to stay with Emily and take care of the baby. You and your family have been like saviors to us. We'll repay you someday. Lance returned to his overseas post. My family, Mia, and I moved back to my parents' home, taking every precaution. A week later, I safely gave birth. Oh, my niece! She's so cute! Mia's smile was brighter than before. She laughs a lot now and talks more. She admires my brother, who she sees as wild and cool, even though he's more of a gorilla type. Flattered by the compliment, my brother has vowed to protect Mia. Despite becoming a single mom after everything that happened, I feel I can do this with my family's support.
My in-laws tried to renovate the house without consulting me. I said, I don't need a room or my husband. They were stunned.
You don't need a broom. Sam's mother sneered down at me. It seemed like she was enjoying herself. Her face wore a permanent smirk. I'm a working mom, living with my husband Sam and son. I've been supporting my husband's dream of becoming a singer, but he just keeps hopping from one job to another, basically freeloading off me. Then, out of nowhere, my in-laws called. They started renovation work on their house without even consulting me.
Look, it's more convenient this way since I'm getting busier with work.
I got angry at my husband for making such a unilateral decision.
Besides, the house is small. We need to make a room for my parents, too.
And since you don't earn as much, we don't really need a room for you, do we? That's when I decided to reveal the truth. The look on my in-laws' faces was unforgettable. My name is Emily James. I'm currently the CEO of my own company. My company plans and sells fashion and lifestyle products for women. By offering trendy items, we've gained a strong following among women. Why did I start this company? Because I didn't get accepted into the company I wanted to work for. I didn't want to settle, so I thought, why not start my own company? Starting a business was really tough. There were financial issues, staffing problems, and above all, my own inexperience. But I've always believed in embracing change and enjoying challenges. With passion and effort, I slowly built trust and credibility. Our company is especially focused on creating a supportive work environment for women. We encourage flexible work arrangements and support balancing work with childcare and caregiving. We help women advance in their careers and provide opportunities for them to show leadership. Balancing work and home life can be difficult, but we built a support system to help with that. We focus on creating an environment where every employee feels comfortable working. We also place a high value on communication among employees. We hold regular meetings and team building events. We've even designed our office layout and facilities to include relaxing spaces and a nursing room. To me, connections with people are just as important as passion for work. Building trust with clients is crucial, as is maintaining trust among employees. I aim to grow the company alongside the people I work with. My company started in a small office, but it has gradually grown to employ more people. I plan to keep moving forward, embracing challenges and change. I truly hope more people will want to work with me in the future. I've been married once before and have a son. My ex-husband Ken and I went to the same elementary school. Back in school, I always sat in the corner of the classroom. Just because I was quiet and plain, I was often ignored by the other kids. Sometimes they even said hurtful things to me. My belongings were often hidden or broken. I was afraid to go to school every day. But one day, Ken, who was a popular figure in the class, stood up for me. Ken was cheerful, friendly, and well-liked by everyone.
Hey, stop it. What's the fun in picking on someone?
His voice rang out across the classroom. The bullies paused for a moment, but quickly pushed back.
What's it to you? Do you like her or something? Whether I like her or not doesn't matter. It's just wrong to find joy in bullying someone.
From that moment, I started to notice Ken more. His courage and kindness inspired me. I wanted to change myself because of him. I was determined to improve myself, both in looks and in academics. Little by little, I regained my confidence, thanks to the help Ken gave me that day. I wanted to become strong like him. Years went by and I entered middle school. I was motivated to study hard, driven by the desire to prove myself to those who had made fun of me. I got into a prestigious high school. High school life was different. People had their own things going on and there wasn't much interest in others' business. I felt comfortable in that environment. I slowly changed my appearance and gained more confidence. I was fortunate to have good friends and enjoyed my high school years. Eventually, I got into the college I wanted. Then, at a part-time job, I unexpectedly ran into Ken again, but he didn't recognize me. Hi Ken, it's Emily James. It's been a long time. You don't remember me?
Oh, Emily? From elementary school? I didn't recognize you at first. You've changed so much.
I nervously answered. Yes, it's been a while. Have you been well?
You look great now.
His face was full of a warm smile, just like before. Hearing Ken's voice brought back feelings I had forgotten. I remembered how he had protected me from bullies in elementary school, and I realized that I still had special feelings for him. Seeing him smile again made those feelings stronger. Thank you. If you hadn't been there, I don't know what would have happened to me. I wanted to say those words out loud, but I wasn't sure if Ken remembered that day. I didn't want to seem too emotional, so I bit my tongue. As we talked more, the painful memories resurfaced, but so did my gratitude for him. He was like a light to me, a beacon of hope. I felt so much joy knowing I could feel that light again. From that day on, we slowly grew closer. I felt like meeting Ken again was fate. While studying at college, Ken pursued his dream of becoming a singer, performing live on the streets. I wanted to support his dream, so I naturally started going to his performances. How's it going today?
Not bad, but I'm really happy you came, Emily.
I want to support your dream, Ken. Let me know if there's anything I can do.
Thanks, Emily. It means a lot. I feel like I can keep going because you're here.
Our relationship quickly became closer. We started dating. Ken was seriously committed to his dream. Watching his passion and hard work inspired me to work even harder. But reality was tough. Ken's dream wasn't materializing, and our life became more challenging. Still, I continued to support him. Ken's dream was our shared hope. How was it today? I asked, seeing the tired look on Ken's face.
It's tougher than I thought, but I'm not giving up.
I'll keep doing my best with you. I'll always support you no matter what. I tried to cheer him up, but Ken looked away, his expression awkward.
Thanks, Emily, but how am I supposed to explain this to my parents?
It'll be okay. We've got time, and there will come a moment when we can explain it properly.
I know, but it's hard.
His parents were still unaware he was pursuing a music career. They thought he was working a regular job.
I'm lucky to have met someone as wonderful as you, Emily.
His words warmed my heart. We can overcome anything together, Ken. No matter how hard it gets, we'll be okay as long as we're together. Ken gave a small smile but still looked worried.
But if my parents find out I'm chasing this dream, they'll be so disappointed.
I haven't told my parents either, but I think they'll understand if we're honest with them. They wouldn't dismiss your dream, Ken. I continued to encourage him. Ken took a deep breath and seemed to calm down a bit.
Thanks, Emily. I feel like I can keep going because of you.
Let's keep going at our own pace. I believe your dream will come true. I smiled and held his hand tighter. Every day after that, I continued to do my best to support Ken. Even when he was preparing for his performances or struggling with his practice, I was always by his side. Supporting his dream and managing our household with my income, I had no regrets. Wait, are you sure this is okay? Ken's freeloading off you while you're handing over your earnings from your part-time jobs. I often faced such concerns from my friends. Ken's dream is worth it. We're living our life at our own pace, and we're okay with that. Honestly, I didn't care much about Ken's job or lack thereof. More than anything, I was just happy to be with the Ken who had encouraged me so much in my elementary school days. After that, our relationship continued smoothly. After graduating from college, I started my own business, which grew steadily. After Ken and I moved in together, I was even more motivated thanks to his support. After 3 years in business, I got pregnant and we decided to get married. Finding out I was pregnant filled me with joy and surprise. Ken, guess what? I think I'm pregnant. I couldn't contain my excitement, but Ken's eyes widened and he froze for a moment.
Really? You're not joking, are you?
No, I'm serious. Ken seemed flustered and kept taking deep breaths.
We're going to be parents, huh? Oh man, what should I do about work? The responsibility feels heavier now. Maybe I should give up on my dream.
It's okay, I'll support the family. You keep chasing your dream and show our child there are many paths in life. I squeezed his hand. Ken was silent for a while, but after a few seconds, he slowly smiled.
Thank you, Emily. I feel like I can do it with you by my side.
Even after we got married, we never told his parents about his career. Ken had asked me to keep it quiet. I hadn't told my parents either, despite various remarks from friends. Honestly, it didn't matter to me. The most important thing was being with Ken and building a warm home for our child. But looking back now, I realize how blind I was. Becoming a mother gradually opened my eyes. Later, I safely gave birth to our first son, Michael. We also bought a condominium in the city. But around that time, my in-laws, who had never been very involved, began demanding luxury items from me. Ken's mom was particularly insistent. Ken should buy it for you. Whenever I refused, she'd always come back with that line. They seemed to think we were living off Ken's income. I was getting more and more exasperated with Ken, who continued to keep up the facade. Even after our son was born, Ken kept his job situation a secret. I was just dumbfounded. One day I got a call from Ken's mom. I was tired after putting Michael to sleep, but I reluctantly picked up the phone. Emily, I want a new bag for my birthday. The one from that famous brand. Sorry, but we can't afford that right now. What are you talking about? Ken earns a good salary. He should at least be able to fulfill my simple request. Ken's salary? Look, we have our own financial limits too. I'll ask Ken. I'm sure he'll understand. She sighed and hung up the phone. That night after Ken came home, I confronted him about his mom. Your mom asked about that brand bag again. Can't you do something about it?
I'll talk to her, but can you try to be a little more patient?
Patient? That's not fair. Who do you think is paying the bills here? We have a budget and we can't just cater to your mom's every demand. And the fact that she thinks it's your income supporting us is a problem in itself.
Please don't tell her. I'm begging you.
Ken dropped to his knees, bowing his head deeply. My feelings were a mix of surprise and disappointment. I'll keep quiet about your job, but you have to tell her no about the bag. Ken kept bowing his head. But the dealings with his mom only increased after that. Then one day, Ken's mom suddenly showed up at our house. Emily, about that bag I asked for, did Ken say anything? Sorry, but that's not possible. We have our limits too. But Ken earns enough. Why are you being so stingy? You should be more grateful. I was left speechless. I do appreciate everything, but your demands are unreasonable. We're not living just off Ken's income. Fine, I'll talk to Ken directly. And she left the house. That night, I had another talk with Ken. This can't go on. You need to set things straight.
I know, but please, don't tell my mom.
He answered, looking helpless. Maybe I should have come clean then, but I chose to keep quiet. From that moment, doubts started creeping into my mind. I began to feel uncertain about Ken's behavior. Was he hiding something from me? These worries started to grow. One day, Ken came home very late and didn't answer his phone. Even when I sent messages, he didn't reply. I had a nagging feeling in my heart. The next day, when Ken finally came home, I confronted him. Where were you last night? I was worried.
I just got held up at work.
He answered so casually, but I could sense he was hiding something. Really? Just work? I know you're hiding something.
Stop being so suspicious. I told you it's just work.
His words didn't reassure me at all. There was something clearly off about his behavior. I could feel cracks forming in our relationship. Still, I wanted to believe in Ken. I thought it was my role to support him in his dream, to stand by him as a family. But that belief started to waver. Ken started coming home even later, often not answering calls. Why are you coming home so late these days?
Work is busy.
What kind of work?
Why do you need to know? Work is work.
His tone was sharp. I was growing more suspicious. Is it wrong for me to want to know? We're married. There shouldn't be secrets between us.
Emily, please just trust me. I'm not hiding anything.
His words no longer had any weight. Our relationship grew colder, and Ken's demeanor became even more distant. Still, I couldn't give up on him, but my doubts kept growing. Then one day I got a call from my in-laws. They wanted to have a serious discussion at home. When they arrived, Jessica dropped a bombshell. We're planning to renovate our house. Your house? The one you live in? Yes, of course. And what other house would we renovate? I was momentarily speechless, unable to grasp what she was saying. After a moment, I regained my composure and asked calmly, why would you decide on something like this without consulting us? Well, Ken suggested it. He thought it would be more convenient for us all if we renovated. I stared hard at Ken. He looked panicked and confused, but quickly spoke up.
Oh, well, since I'm getting busier with work, it'd be easier if we all lived together. It'd help with the housework and taking care of Michael.
Again, with Ken's pretenses. You should find a stable job first. Ken wasn't doing anything related to his music career anymore. Absolutely not. Jessica looked shocked, furrowing her brows. Impossible. The construction has already started. I was stunned into silence. Apparently, they'd even decided on the layout without our input. They'd been swayed by some sales pitch about a promotional discount and made an instant decision. And Jessica, who was convinced we were living off Ken's salary, continued. But you don't need a room, do you? Unless you start earning as much as Ken. Her words angered me. If that's how you feel, I don't need a room. I'll handle things on my own. Jessica smirked. What will you do when this house gets sold and you can't live here anymore? I'll manage. I'm not some docile wife. Jessica muttered under her breath. Such an ungrateful daughter-in-law. I didn't care. I'm not paying a dime for the renovations. If anyone's getting kicked out, it's you. I glanced at Ken. He remained expressionless. He probably thought I would pay for everything. Then another shocking fact came to light. I had always given Ken a fixed amount of money to prevent him from overspending, but he gambled it away and even dipped into Michael's savings. I discovered this when I checked our bank passbook. A large amount had been withdrawn from our savings account, and I was horrified. I immediately confronted Ken. Ken, what is this? Where did this money go? Ken was visibly shaking, his face showing signs of trying to come up with an excuse.
I just borrowed a little. I'll pay back soon.
Borrowed? This much money? What did you spend it on? Ken looked away, struggling to answer.
Well, I used it for some gambling.
Hearing this, something snapped inside me. I can't take it anymore. I'm done with you. Ken was shocked and tried desperately to explain.
Wait, Emily, I'm really sorry. I won't do it again.
I can't believe a word you say anymore. I don't think you'll ever change. He pleaded even more desperately.
Please, Emily, just give me one more chance, for Michael's sake.
His words didn't reach me anymore. You've made so many promises, but you've broken every one. I'm not paying for the house renovation or any of your debts. I can't rely on you anymore. Ken bowed his head to the floor, crying, pleading desperately.
Emily, please, just one more chance for Michael's sake.
I was momentarily moved by his tears, but then steeled my resolve. I started thinking about divorce, and soon a new incident solidified my decision. One day, I had to leave the house for work, and I asked Ken to look after Michael. Ken, I need to be out all day for work. Can you take care of Michael? He nodded reluctantly.
Okay, I'll watch him.
I gave Ken detailed instructions on feeding times, diaper changes, and Michael's favorite toys. Here's the formula. If he cries, feed him. Check his diapers regularly and bathe him at this time. Ken seemed a bit annoyed, but nodded.
Yeah, I got it. Don't worry so much.
Although worried, I trusted Ken and left for work. I rushed to finish my work quickly, worried about Michael. I managed to finish early and head back home. I wonder if he's sleeping or playing. I eagerly opened the door, only to be greeted by Michael's crying echoing through the house. A bad feeling crept over me. I kicked off my shoes and rushed toward the sound, calling his name. Michael! Michael, are you okay? I found Michael wailing in his crib. I quickly picked him up. He wouldn't stop crying. I searched for Ken, but he wasn't in the living room or the kitchen. The bad feeling grew stronger. I headed to our bedroom. I opened the door to find Ken with a drink in one hand, gambling online. He was surprised to see me home early. Anger boiled up inside me. Ken, what are you doing? Michael is crying and you're just ignoring him? Ken frowned and tried to explain.
I just looked away for a second. I was just going to get back to him soon.
In just a second? Do you know how long he's been crying? You're not fulfilling your responsibilities as a father.
Don't make such a big deal out of it. I'm tired too. I just needed a little break.
A break? Drinking and gambling is a break to you? I left Michael in your care, and this is what you do? Ken became more irritated, raising his voice.
You're always working and never around for the family. Can't I have one day to myself?
At that moment, I knew I couldn't continue living with Ken. I can't do this anymore. We're done. I want a divorce.
Divorce? What are you talking about, Emily? Isn't that too extreme? You can't just throw out the word divorce like that.
It's not sudden. This happened because you've been so self-centered and ignored our family. Michael and I don't need you anymore. Ken tried desperately to defend himself.
Wait, Emily, I'm sorry. I'll change. Give me one more chance.
I don't know how many times I've heard that. I can't expect anything from you anymore.
Please, Emily, for Michael's sake, just one more chance.
I felt my affection for Ken disappear. I'm sorry, Ken, but I can't trust you anymore. I won't let you hurt us any longer. Ken collapsed to the floor, unable to say anything more. I looked at him with a mix of disappointment and pity. After that decisive night, I resolved to end things with Ken. I decided to invite both our parents over to discuss everything and end it once and for all. When our parents arrived, they were chatting happily, not knowing the serious talk that was about to happen. Sorry to interrupt, but there's something important we need to discuss. The living room grew tense. I took a deep breath and began. Mom, Dad, Jessica, Brian, I don't need a room in your house. Oh, really? Then do as you please. I chuckled lightly at Jessica's cold words. You can only say that for now. But Ken's job and the fact that I'm the one supporting us financially, that's all going to change. I detailed everything, including the recent incidents. Ken doesn't have a stable job. He's not pursuing music or anything. I'm the one who's been financially supporting this family. I started my own business and our annual revenue is over $10 million. The other day, I had to leave for work and left Michael with Ken. But when I got home, Ken was ignoring Michael and drinking while gambling online.
Is this true, Ken? Have you been lying to us this whole time? What have you been doing?
Ken tried to speak, but no words came out. I continued. I've been holding it in for a long time, but I can't take it anymore. I can't stay with Ken any longer. Emily, that's just your side of the story. Ken has been trying to. Can't you understand that? Understand? What exactly am I supposed to understand? He's been neglecting Michael while drinking and gambling. What do you expect me to understand? Jessica had nothing more to say and turned back to her husband.
Ken, is this really how you want things to be? Do you not want to protect your family? I was trying to work hard for Emily. I was looking for a job, but...
No more lies. You've been deceiving us all along. This is the end, for Michael's sake too. We can't go on like this.
Ken, you should be ashamed of yourself. Emily has been working so hard. Were you not paying attention to anything?
Ken hung his head, his body trembling.
Emily, we had no idea you were going through this. Why didn't you tell us sooner?
Tears welled up in my eyes as I thanked my mom. Thank you, Mom, but from now on, I'm going to do my best for Michael and me.
Ken, what are you going to do without Emily? How will you live?
I'm not worried about Ken anymore. His life is his responsibility now. I took out the divorce papers and handed them to Ken. Sign this and let's end this for good. With trembling hands, Ken took the divorce papers and silently signed them. Emily, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize Ken was this irresponsible. The room was filled with a heavy silence, but my heart felt a little lighter. I forgot to mention I'm not paying for the renovation costs or Ken's gambling debts. Wait just a minute. The house is almost finished, and since you're earning so much, the renovation costs are just pocket change, right? I don't care. If you can't pay, why not sell the house? Jessica looked at me in despair, pleading. At least save the house, please. Help us. If you want to keep it, figure it out yourselves.
Emily, I think you're being too cold. Ken's repentant. Can't you reconsider?
Cold? Do you have any idea how much I've supported them? Besides, we're practically strangers now. Why should I keep dealing with his irresponsibility? And you decided on the renovations without consulting me. That's on you. Ken, with his hands on the floor, lowered his head deeply and pleaded tearfully.
You have no idea how much I've been suffering. You didn't understand anything. Stop burdening Emily any further.
Emily, please, just one more chance. Think it over again, about the house and about Ken. I've already decided I'm not responsible for your renovation costs or Ken's death. Stop hurting us anymore.
Alright, I understand. I won't ask anything more. We'll respect your decision.
Jessica cried silently, saying nothing. Let's end this now. From now on, Michael and I will start a new life together. Ken, take responsibility and live your own life. Ken nodded weakly, wiping away his tears.
Okay, I'll make sure I don't cause any more trouble.
After that, the renovation was never completed and my former in-laws decided to sell the house. The nearly finished house was sold immediately and they moved into a cheap apartment with Ken included. My former in-laws who had retired early were forced to go back to work to repay their debts and Ken began working from morning till night. One day, Jessica called me in tears. "Emily, Ken is working so hard every day. We're trying to start over. I'm so sorry." That's the result of Ken's own actions. Michael and I are focusing on our future now. Jessica tearfully thanked me, but I responded with a firm resolve. "You'll have to handle things on your own from now on. We won't be involved anymore." I cut all ties with Ken, but I thought that if Michael wanted to meet his father someday, I would talk to Ken about it. However, until that time comes, I have no plans to see or introduce Michael to him. A new chapter of our lives began. I worked hard for Michael's sake, and my efforts paid off as the company grew rapidly. Annual revenue reached $50 million, and we eventually moved into a spacious office. Reflecting on the past, there were many challenges and hardships, but now I can say with confidence I am happy. Starting a new life with Michael changed my life dramatically. Michael is my treasure, and I want to raise him to be someone who values the people around him. I hope he will grow to form meaningful bonds with many people. For Michael, I'm prepared to face any challenge. I will continue to support his dreams and provide him with the best possible environment. I also strive to be a mother he can look up to and learn from. In my work, I continue to embrace change and enjoy challenges. The experiences of overcoming so many difficulties have made me stronger and shaped who I am today. Our new life has just begun, but it is filled with hope. Every day spent smiling with Michael is the source of my happiness. I will continue to hold on to my beliefs and build a bright future for both Michael and myself.
My in-laws tried to take over the new house I built, mocked me with insults, but I turned the tables and took it back.
I can't believe someone like you actually booked that luxury hotel. You should know your place. We'll go in your place to avoid you embarrassing yourself. My mother-in-law said, as she looked at the travel contract I had planned with my friend and left at home. I've had enough. I replied, determined to make the most of this trip. My name is Rena James. I'm a 28-year-old office worker. I got married 2 years ago and was supposed to be living with my husband, Sam. Sam and I met in a slightly unusual way, through social media. We were both part of a community of fans of the same band. After seeing each other at several live shows, we became friends. Though we didn't live in the same area, we were only 40 minutes apart by car. Dating wasn't an issue at all. We clicked instantly, so we didn't need much time dating before getting serious. After a year, Sam proposed, and we got married. We rented an apartment midway between our workplaces and started our newlywed life. At first, everything was perfect. I had lost my family when I was young, which might explain my attachment to family now. But Sam's family was intense. His sister Jessica had twin boys, and they were wild. She divorced right after having them and moved back home. The first time I met the twins, they drenched me with water guns. Honestly, I didn't like them. I had visited Sam's family before the wedding, and there were no problems then. But after the wedding, we started visiting them weekly. At first, I thought it was just because we were newlyweds, so I didn't say anything. But their visits started escalating. One day, I came home from work, arriving before Sam, and noticed the lights were on. Did I forget to turn them off? I'm usually quite frugal, so leaving lights on is very unlike me. I sighed and unlocked the door. Wait, the door's already unlocked. A chill ran down my spine. I never forget to lock the door. I didn't go inside. Instead, I called Sam. Hey, sorry to bother you at work. What's up? It's rare for you to call. Can you come home soon? What happened? Is something wrong? I just got home, and the door was unlocked, the lights are on, and I'm worried someone's inside. Contrary to my concern, Sam burst out laughing. Oh, that's it? My family's probably inside. What do you mean they're inside? Oh, Rena, you're back already. Just as I was talking, Emma, Sam's mother, stepped out from the hallway. We got here early, so we let ourselves in. I even bought your favorite pudding. John and Brian are sleeping, so be quiet, okay? I'll be home soon. Sorry about this. Sam hung up, and Emma walked back into the house as if it were her own. Still in shock, I entered to find his dad, Lance, and sister Jessica relaxing on my couch. Welcome home, Rena. I grabbed a beer from your fridge. Hope you don't mind. For such a neat home, the owner's pretty plain, huh? Isn't that like casting pearls before swine? No, that's not right. It's more like giving a pig a rose. Still plain for sure. Why did Sam choose you? They all laughed as if it were the funniest joke ever. I had just come home from a long day at work, and this was the welcome I got? What about the kids? I told you already. They're asleep. Are you that tired that you forgot? Bird-brained, huh? Bird-brained? You know, forgetting something after 3 steps, like a chicken. They all burst into laughter again. Why are you here, and how did you get in? I told Sam we couldn't get in last time, so he made us a spare key. Didn't he tell you? No, he didn't. As I stood there confused, Sam walked in. Hey, everyone got here early. Must be hungry, right? What's for dinner, Rena? I was just about to start cooking. Now, that'll take forever. I'll just come by and cook for you from now on. I clenched my teeth. Sam, annoyed, muttered, It's fine, Mom. What's today's visit for, anyway? Oh, you poor thing. Maybe I should just start coming over and cooking for you. She completely ignored Sam's question and made it sound like I was lazy. It's not like this every day. I bought Sam's favorite pudding from the department store today. Without asking, she opened the fridge. Hey, don't just open my fridge. Oh, stop being so cold. We're family after all. I didn't say anything back. Dad, are you drunk? That was kind of rude. Oh, please. Families have little spats now and then. I have work tomorrow, too. Let's just eat the pudding and head out. They all sat at the dining table, leaving me alone in the kitchen. Rena, aren't you going to eat? I'm fine. We bought this for you, though. She put 2 puddings in front of Sam. Without a second thought, he ate both. I have to be up early tomorrow, so could you all leave soon? Oh, fine. We're all working, too. Can I leave the kids here since they're sleeping? No, please take them home. What's with this woman? She's no fun. I wouldn't trust her with my kids anyway. Sam, we've been waiting. You could at least apologize for keeping us waiting. Yeah, sorry. Well, we're off. Take care, Rena. I didn't even see them out. I was too frustrated, not sure what to say to Sam. That was unacceptable. What do you mean? You didn't tell me about the spare key, and you didn't care that I didn't eat the pudding or see them off? Are you seriously saying that? Do you even think about me? I'm saying it because I do think about you. You don't have family, so you don't understand. This is just how families are. Spare keys are normal, and letting kids sleep in our bedroom without permission? And I was ridiculed for not having kids. Are you still going to side with your sister? It's not about taking sides. You're exaggerating. No, I'm not. There should be some boundaries. Sam sighed deeply. Boundaries? Families don't need those. We just talk things out. I can't take this anymore. I need space. I locked myself in the bedroom. Am I really the problem here? I needed someone to talk to, so I texted my best friend, May. Can you grab dinner with me tomorrow? Of course, 7 p.m. at the usual place. Perfect. May was my go-to friend for everything. She's blunt, but always has my back. The next day, we met up at our favorite bar. If you're calling me out, something's up, right? I just don't want to go home tonight. Don't say things that sound like you're breaking up with me. We both laughed, and I felt lighter. It's Sam's family again. Ugh, those people, what now? Yesterday, when I got home, I told her everything. That's insane. Who just hands out spare keys? And sleeping in your bedroom? That's horror movie material. Seeing May get angry for me made me feel validated. Right? I don't even get why they need a spare key. If we're not home, just leave. And why do they all come over at once every week? It's not normal. Newlyweds need space, not family invasions. I feel like I'm going crazy. They say I don't understand because I don't have family. Oh, that's rich. They rely on you for everything and then put you down for not having kids. Exactly. Sam even said he'd give my family a key if I had one. That's nonsense. What do they even want? I don't know. I just want to run away. I don't want to go home. Then let's run away. Let's go on a luxury trip somewhere. Yes, I just got my bonus. Let's do it. We won't be able to do this once we have kids, so let's splurge while we can. Exactly. Who knows when we'll have kids? Okay, but make sure to get Sam's okay first. I don't want any drama. Got it. I'll ask him tonight. Suddenly, I felt hopeful again. May always knew how to cheer me up. I got home, and Sam was doing the dishes. Did someone come over today? Yeah, Mom came over and cooked for me since you were out. Again? Why do you hate it so much? She just helped out because you were busy. I sighed. Mom's worried you don't like her, and the kids missed you. Oh, the kids missed me? I didn't believe that for a second. Sam, frustrated, stopped what he was doing and turned to face me. Rena, you're a good person, but you don't get how families work. You always see things negatively. Maybe that's why we don't have kids yet. I felt a surge of anger. So it's my fault we don't have kids. You're taking this the wrong way. I was just making a point. You've been so negative lately. It's not like you. I'm tired. I just want a peaceful home. Is that too much to ask? Can't you try to get along with them? It's affecting my work. You think I'm not trying? I'm doing my best, but they're overstepping boundaries. Let's set some rules. Rules? You can't have rules with family. You're overthinking this. Fine, let's just drop it. I need space. I didn't even get the chance to talk about the trip, but I was still determined to go. The next day, I looked up luxury hotels and booked one. Since we don't have kids, I wanted a peaceful adult getaway. I found a great deal and locked it in. Later that week, I came home to find Sam's family there again. His mom was sitting on the couch, flipping through my travel book. Oh, look at you, booking such a fancy place. You must have a secret lover, huh? No, it's a trip with a friend. So, what if I went through your stuff? What are you hiding? She leaned in closer, staring me down. Please don't go through my things. You're hiding something, aren't you? I bet you are. I can't believe someone with no taste like you booked a place like that. We'll go instead, and you can thank me later. Tears welled up. It wasn't about the trip anymore. It was the realization that this was no longer my home. I texted May. Can we meet now? I need to talk. What happened? I'll be there in 10 minutes. May came to get me, and I explained everything. That's ridiculous. Want me to barge in and tell them off? I couldn't help but laugh. They're not normal. Talking won't help. I feel like I'm losing myself. If I were you, I'd just say everything I wanted. Who cares if they hate me? But if I do that, I'll just make things harder for myself. I looked at her apologetically. I might have to cancel the trip. Could we go somewhere else? Don't apologize. I have a better idea. What's that? That hotel you booked. Wasn't it pay at the hotel? Yeah. I don't like entering credit card info online. Then don't cancel. Let them go, and we'll just book another place. But wouldn't they need to change the name? Exactly. Let them deal with it. We'll upgrade their room while we're at it. I couldn't stop laughing. You always know how to cheer me up. This way, they'll see for themselves how ridiculous they are. And we'll still have our own getaway. I'll handle the new reservation. We planned our trip and laughed the entire night. The next morning, I found Sam washing the dishes again. Did you change the reservation? Yeah, I upgraded it since it's the twins' birthday soon. Wow, thanks, Rena. Mom will be thrilled. Actually, there's something else. I pulled out the divorce papers. What? Why? I'm done, Sam. I want a divorce. Wait, what? I thought we were fixing things. It's too late. I felt like this for a while. But you're just going to leave because of my family? I think so, yes. Fine, I'll sign, but only if you still let me take them on the trip. Don't worry, the reservation is under your name now. It felt absurd to think I had loved this man. I finalized the divorce, rented an apartment near work, and started over. Our marriage had been over long before this. Sam wanted to wait until after the trip to tell his family. I didn't mind waiting a few more days. On the day of the trip, May and I left for our own getaway. So it's finally happening. Are you sure about the divorce? There's no house, no kids. It's just like breaking up with a boyfriend. Right? The only difference is I won't have to see his family anymore. Then it's all good. Let's enjoy this trip. We checked into our gorgeous private hotel room with hot springs and the most luxurious amenities. We could see Sam's family's hotel from our terrace. As we sipped wine on the terrace, we heard the voices of kids. Looks like they're here. We saw them check in, decked out in flashy clothes, completely out of place at a luxury hotel. They managed to check in somehow and headed to their room. Later, as we were enjoying dinner, we could hear their loud voices from across the room. This food is terrible. Where's the kids' menu? Can't you at least make some shrimp for the kids? We're paying for this. They hadn't even booked food for the kids, and now they were causing a scene. You're embarrassing us. This is a luxury hotel, not a fast food joint. The staff, clearly overwhelmed, ended up preparing kids' meals for them. When dessert arrived, there was excitement. Did Rena order this? She's actually useful for once. By the time dessert was finished, the hotel staff apologized for the disturbance caused by Sam's family. They offered to serve us dinner in our room to avoid further disturbance. Thank you, but we're fine here. As we finished our meal, we could hear their complaints as they left. The next morning, as May and I were checking out, we heard shouting again. We already paid. This is a scam. I'm sorry, but payment is required at checkout. It's our policy. Sam, pay for it with your card. I can't. I maxed it out. I'm a single mom. I can't pay for this. Mom, do something. Your dad doesn't have a card. He filed for bankruptcy. What? You never told me that. Their shouting drew attention, and the staff ushered them into a private room. Just then, we heard a crash. The twins had knocked over an expensive vase. This is getting worse. The hotel called the police. Sam called me several times, but I ignored him. After filing the divorce papers, I sent him a message. The divorce is final. Good luck with your band. He called, but I didn't pick up. I didn't need any more negativity in my life. 6 months later, I was thriving in my new life. My job was going well. I went out with May once a month, and I even had a new love interest. I still check Sam's social media sometimes. He's still trying to make it as a musician, but his streams only get a couple of viewers. I hope one day he'll wake up and realize what he lost. But I'm moving forward, free and happy, finally living life on my terms.
Supporting my son through college, only to find out the truth about my money. Then, an unexpected call changed everything.
Even sending just $100 a month really helps.
What? I'm sending you $1,000 a month.
Huh?
I got a thank you call from my son who's attending college. He was grateful and said even $100 helps. But I'm sending him $1,000, 1 digit short. It's been a year since I started sending money. Someone must be skimming it. I decided to set a trap. My name is Allison James, a 40-year-old single parent. I've technically been single for 20 years, though I officially divorced a year ago. I married my ex, Mike, when I was just 20, 2 years into my job. I rushed into marriage because I was afraid of ending up alone. I lost my only parent in high school, and I had no siblings or close relatives nearby. My friends stayed in touch, but after they all went off to college, we drifted apart. I didn't go to college and started working at an electronics manufacturer in town. My job wasn't particularly exciting, and I'd return home to an empty house every night. That's when I met Mike, who would become my husband. He was 5 years older, a successful salesman, and very popular among the women at work. I admired him, but it was his inner kindness that truly drew me in.
Sorry to ask, but I heard your parents passed away. I'm in the same boat, you know. We're both kind of alone.
Mike had been raised by a single mom who passed away when he was in college. He started paying more attention to me, and we ended up spending time together. I had a one-sided crush, but just seeing him made my days brighter.
Allison, would you go out with me?
I was over the moon when he asked me out at a fancy restaurant I'd never been to. Are you sure you want to be with me?
Yes, Allison. I'm drawn to your pure heart. I want to protect you like your parents would have.
His sweet words won me over. At the time, I didn't realize that I was the perfect target. I had no in-laws to deal with, and I even had a house. Plus, Mike had debts. I didn't notice how perfect his setup was.
I actually have some debt. Before we met, I was engaged to someone else. She threatened to sue me when I tried to break up with her, so I had to borrow money for her settlement.
I was naive and believed his story. I ended up using half of my salary to help pay off his debt, while the rest went to our living expenses. Mike was the kind of man who wouldn't just ignore a caught fish. He'd squeeze it dry. He spent his earnings on work and socializing, leaving me to cover the rest. But I wanted him to stay stylish and successful at work, so I didn't mind. Just as we were seeing the end of his debt, I found out I was pregnant. I thought I was a perfect addition to our family. I told Mike with excitement, but he looked confused and a bit annoyed.
A baby?
He quickly corrected himself.
No, I'm happy. I'm just worried about you being so young and already a mom.
He covered his tracks well, probably because I still had some use to him.
You can take maternity leave, but return to work as soon as possible.
I planned to work until I couldn't, but the morning sickness made it impossible, so I quit. That's when Mike stopped coming home as much, claiming he was busy with work. I was left with only $300 a month to live on. When I asked for more, he said he was broke and couldn't help. So I started dipping into the small savings my parents had left me. Eventually, I gave birth to a baby boy, Sean. Mike didn't come to the hospital, but I didn't care. I was overjoyed to have Sean and vowed to do my best for him. I thought Mike would change after Sean was born, but the only thing that changed was his cologne. He had a new woman. He'd hold Sean for a minute, then leave again. I asked him for more financial support, but he just dodged the question. Eventually, I realized Mike didn't love me and maybe never did, but I wasn't ready to be alone. When Sean turned 5, I decided I'd divorce Mike once Sean started elementary school. A father like Mike was more of a burden than a help. Watching Sean grow up gave me the strength I needed. When Sean started school, I found a part-time job at a local grocery store. The savings were gone and I needed the money. I started working at a busy store that had been around since I was a kid. My manager was kind and understanding and the job paid well, but it was exhausting. Standing all day and lifting heavy items was tough and I struggled to keep up. One of the older employees, Emma, wasn't easy on me. "You're in the way. Can't you even lift that?" Emma, who was my mother's age, lifted things with ease. I had to be stronger for Sean. When I told Mike about my job, his response was predictable.
Why don't you try living off your own salary? You should get used to saving now since Sean's going to need money for school.
Eventually, Mike stopped giving me any money at all. At first, I was upset, but I quickly realized it was a relief. I could earn what I needed in just a few days at work. One day, Emma surprised me. "I thought you'd quit by now, but you've got grit. I'll teach you something new tomorrow, but be ready. It's tougher work." Slowly, Emma started warming up to me. She was also a single parent, raising 2 sons by herself since she was 20. Eventually, Emma introduced me to her family, and Sean became close to her grandsons. One day, Sean made a request. "Mom, can I take karate lessons like Emma's sons?" By then, I was making enough to afford it, so I agreed. "Thanks, Mom. I'll get strong and protect you." His words made me feel stronger and happier. I had found a family in Emma and her sons, and my life felt full. The only thing left hanging over me was Mike's presence. He'd come home occasionally and say things like,
"Sean, how's kindergarten?"
"Dad, I'm in elementary school now." Mike didn't even know how old his son was. Despite his looks and success, he was a terrible husband and father. I longed to be free from him. I figured I'd wait until Sean was a bit older, maybe in high school, before divorcing Mike. Sean, now in middle school, was excelling academically. He aimed to attend one of the best high schools in the state. He told me,
"I'll get a good job and make sure you don't have to worry anymore, Mom."
His words motivated me to work harder. After all, I had been saving up for Sean's future just as my parents had saved for me. Sean got into the top school, and I felt proud. One day, Sean asked to get a part-time job.
"I feel bad that you're spending so much on me. When's the last time you bought yourself something, Mom? You deserve to treat yourself."
I joked. When have I ever been stylish? But he wasn't joking.
"Mom, you should divorce Dad."
I froze. What?
"I've been thinking about whether to tell you, but I've seen Dad with other women. And not just once, several times."
Sean has seen Mike with different women after school, both as a middle and high schooler. The thought of him meeting other women so close to our home made my blood boil.
"I don't need to go to college if it's too much of a burden on you. I'll be fine, Mom, as long as I can help you.
My son had grown so much. He didn't remember the promise he made to protect me when he was little, but now he was ready to help. I'll divorce your dad, Sean, but only after you've started college. I don't want to cause any issues for you while you're still in school. Plus, Dad barely comes home anyway, so nothing will really change for now. Sean nodded in agreement. I've already got a part-time job lined up. It turns out Sean had asked my boss, the store manager, for a job.
The manager even offered to tutor me on Sundays.
The manager had always been kind to me, and now he was helping my son. Sean was working hard and his grades kept improving. By his final year of high school, Mike had started coming home more often. He was in his 40s now, balding, overweight, and no longer the attractive man he once was. Most women had stopped paying attention to him, but he still wasn't home every night, so someone must have still been around. Sean rarely spoke to him, and I was cold to him. Finally, Sean got into his dream school. It was one of the happiest moments of my life. The store even threw a party to celebrate. Sean's success also meant the end of my marriage. I had planned to wait until Sean moved out before filing for divorce. One day, Mike came to me with a ridiculous idea.
Since Sean's moving out, why don't we sell the house?
The house my parents left me? Absolutely not.
I think a smaller place, like a condo, would be safer for us.
I should have seen the warning signs, but I didn't suspect anything. A few days later, I went to the bank to transfer Sean's tuition money and noticed something was wrong. The balance was much lower than it should have been. My account had been drained of $200,000. I rushed home, where Mike was lounging on the couch with a beer. I calmly asked him, "Mike, $200,000 has been taken out of my account. Do you know anything about that?"
Wow, that's a lot of money. I don't know anything about it.
Then I guess I'll have to call the police. Mike's hand stopped mid-drink.
Actually, I borrowed it, but I'll pay it back.
I didn't let him finish. I grabbed the beer from his hand and poured it down the sink.
Hey, what are you doing? I said I'll pay it back.
I grabbed his collar. "Don't you dare lie to me." Mike shrieked, and Sean came rushing downstairs.
What's going on, Mom?
"This man used up all your tuition money."
What? It's just a small loan. I'll pay it back next year.
That was it for me. I couldn't hold back any longer.
Calm down, Mom.
Sean pulled me away, but I was furious. "Tell the truth. What did you spend the money on?"
I had an affair with my boss's wife, and I was paying off the settlement.
He was scared of losing his job, so he paid her off.
If I got fired, it'll hurt all of us, right?
It was all about protecting himself. The money was gone, and there was nothing I could do to get it back. I threw the divorce papers on the table. Mike was stunned. I told him, "Sign it or I'll do something you'll regret." He was too scared to resist and signed. Then I told him, "Get out and don't ever come back." Mike quickly packed his things and left. I should have forced a proper divorce with full compensation, but at that moment I just wanted him gone. I broke down and cried, apologizing to Sean.
It's okay, Mom. We'll figure something out.
I knew what I had to do. I went to the grocery store and begged the manager and Emma for help. "That's awful. You remind me of my daughter. I'll take care of it."
I'll help too.
I was overwhelmed with gratitude. A week later, Emma had secured $200,000 in compensation for me. It was a miracle. Thanks to her, Sean was able to start his new life at college. I finally had peace in my life. A year later, Sean called me.
Sorry, I've been busy with work and haven't called. Thanks for the monthly allowance, Mom. Even $100 help.
Wait, I've been sending $1,000.
Huh?
Something was wrong. That's when I set my plan into motion. I knew someone had been taking the money, and there was only one person who could have done it, Mike. But I wasn't sure how far he would go, so I decided to set a trap. I asked Sean to come back home for a while. If the money was being stolen, whoever it was would come looking for it. A week after I stopped sending the allowance, I got a call. "Hello?"
Hey, Allison, long time no talk. How's Sean doing?
"He's doing fine, Mike. Actually, he's back at home now."
Oh, but isn't that far from his school? Wouldn't it be better for him to live closer and for you to keep sending the allowance?
That confirmed it. It was Mike. He never knew about the allowance, and yet he was bringing it up. "How about you come over to see Sean? We're thinking of selling the house, so it might be nice to say goodbye."
Selling the house, huh? Yeah, I'll come by.
He took the bait. On the day Mike came, he looked terrible, unkempt, smelling bad, and wearing dirty clothes. The man who once prided himself on his looks was now a mess. I gave Sean a signal, and he quickly held Mike down while I searched his bag.
What are you doing? Let me go.
Inside, I found Sean's missing bank book. For the past year, Mike had been withdrawing $900 every month. I held the bank book up and asked, "What's this, Mike?"
I just borrowed a little.
Borrowed? You've been stealing from your own son.
I didn't take all of it. I left $100 each time.
His excuses were pathetic. When are you going to pay it back? And what about the $200,000 you already owe? You said you'd pay that back too, remember?
I'm unemployed right now, but I swear I'll pay it back.
Of course, I knew he was unemployed, because I had a hand in it. After Mike's affair with his boss's wife was exposed, he was demoted and eventually left the company. His reputation was in tatters, and no one would hire him. It was all thanks to Emma's connections. Everyone in town knew about his affairs, and he became a laughingstock. You owe at least $500,000, Mike. And that's for the money you stole, the compensation you promised, and the years of unpaid support. How are you going to pay all of that back? Mike fell to his knees and begged.
I'm sorry, Allison, please, forgive me.
I kept going. While you were out spending money with your lovers, I was barely making ends meet. Your mistresses even came to our house to harass me, but I stayed strong for Sean, and you betrayed him too. You really are a hopeless case, aren't you?
Who the hell are you?
I'm Allison's stand-in parent. I got compensation from your mistresses, by the way. Emma had taught me that I had 3 years to claim damages for Mike's affairs. We've got 3 years from today to get everything you owe. Emma had found all of Mike's former mistresses and collected compensation from them. In total, the sum had reached $300,000. It turns out Mike had been unfaithful with several women at work and in the area. And you know what they said? They said you were cheap. You never bought them gifts or took them anywhere nice.
You don't have to say that in front of Sean. I wanted to hear it. I asked Mom to let me see what kind of man you really are. You're worse than I thought. Now I can move on without feeling bad for you. But son, you're a man too. You'll understand someday. I'll never be like you. In fact, I'm going to become a lawyer just so I can deal with people like you.
Mike looked devastated. And by the way, I think you owe some dangerous people money, don't you? The kind of people who don't care about the law. Look outside. We had hired 2 of Emma's grandsons to act as tough guys and park a fancy car outside. When Mike saw them, he panicked.
Please, Allison, help me. I'm in real trouble. We could sell the house and I'll change. I'll make it up to you and Sean.
I dropped the bombshell. I'm getting remarried.
What? To who? To the store manager. He's been more of a father to me than you ever were.
And if you ever show up again, I'll make sure those guys outside know where to find you. They'll never stop hunting you down. Mike bolted out of the house, never to be seen again. Thanks to Emma, I had finally escaped him. She had been through something similar with her own terrible ex-husband. Emma raised her 2 sons alone, and now they were both lawyers. They helped us every step of the way. When Emma suggested going after Mike's mistresses for compensation, I was shocked, but it worked. After everything was settled, I told her I wanted to pay her back. You're like a daughter to me. I won't take your money. In the end, we managed to get through it all, thanks to Emma and her family. Her grandsons even enjoyed pretending to be the tough guys in this little operation. One day, Emma pulled me outside. You know, you really should pay attention to the store manager. I was confused at first, but soon after, the store manager confessed his feelings for me. I had no idea he cared that much. He's a good man. You deserve happiness. With Sean's encouragement, I decided to remarry. I'll always be grateful to Emma and her family. And now, after everything, I can finally say I'm the happiest person in the world.